Hi, y'all. This is Anime Degens here for episode 5. Today we'll cover the 7th Crunchyroll Anime Award winners, a new segment called What the Degens Watch. We'll also cover the new Attack on Titan episode 88 that released Friday, March 3rd. And lastly, we'll do our weekly rundown. Note that One Piece is on a break and the Buddy Daddies episode this week was a recap. So we'll be focusing on My Hero Academia's episode 135 titled Friend. Now let's get to it, boys. Dan, you want to start us off with the Crunchyroll Award winners?
Yes, sir. So to start it off, since we had one show kind of sweep like 3/4 of the categories, we're going to start off hot with Demon Slayer, who came in with Best Character Design, Best Animation, Best Director, Best Action, and Best Fantasy Anime. What do you guys think about that? Because that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and I think, one particular thing where I thought they should have won, was Best Character Design. They killed it with Lord Tengen. My man, flashy as all hell. But it's surprising that they took so much at the same time.
You got that drip, bro. You got that drip.
Oh, yeah. On a regular basis.
Definitely. And I think Best Animation, there's no questions there either. I mean, this show had such a ridiculous budget per episode that they just went in every single episode. I mean, it's hard not to when you're almost $1 million budget per episode. So pretty crazy there. Best Director, of course. Best Action, that makes sense. But Best Fantasy really kind of threw me off. Yeah, it is a fantasy show, but I feel like there are some other shows that could have taken that. Tyler, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I was really hoping to see Mushoku Tensei get that one. It was a very, very popular isekai that came out last year. So and it also, I think the second season or second part or something like that is coming out soon this year too. So just disappointed in that, honestly. But it's also crazy that you said best animation, and they're saying that the animation is going to be even better this next season, as we talked about in the last episode.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to really go about doing that. I think it's already a beautiful blend of like the CGI and the cell fill styles. I mean, I just wonder what they're going to come out with next.
Hey, man, the more money you throw at it, the better it's going to get, dude.
I hope so.
We'll see, I guess.
For sure. And then the last one I have is Anime of the Year for a show that I really enjoyed, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, which is from Studio Trigger. It released on Netflix in September 2022. So kind of weird that it's in this year's Crunchyroll Awards, but they do it from fall to fall, which is why you don't see any Bleach on here. You don't see Chainsaw Man, so we'll have to see those in the next series. But
yeah, that's why Bleach and Chainsaw didn't run this shit.
I don't know, man. Demon Slayer was so fly sweep.
Probably, man.
And that is only on Netflix, right? Cyberpunk.
Yeah, it's a Netflix show. And if you have Netflix, definitely check it out. It's like 10 episodes, real quick, and it is a trip.
Is it the 10 episodes? Is it the complete story?
Yeah, it's a one shot.
Okay, that's good because I know Netflix likes to cancel shows again and again and again.
Dude, it's a Saturday, man. You could finish the whole thing in a Saturday.
Cool. I'm gonna check that out here soon. Yeah.
All right. So with me, I got the best continuing series. I'll get it out here in a minute. It's One Piece.
The GOAT!
Yeah.
GOAT Piece.
Are we really surprised about this, boys?
Not at all, man. I mean, what's it been going on? 20-some years, 24 years now. I think it is the best continuing anime. Is there any others that you guys think could have stood with it, Dan?
I mean, Demon Slayer's technically continuing, right? And everybody else seemed to vote for it. So
they have enough. They have enough awards. That would have been nuts.
Boruto,
Stop.
Womp womp womp.
Stop. They got dinosaurs, bro. They got dinosaurs.
Stop, dude. The animation in that is so bad.
So the next one is best original anime with which is Licorice Recoil. Best new series Spy Family. I have to agree with that. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, it's pretty solid right there.
Yeah, we all love them. Best opening sequence Attack on Titan final season part 2, The Rumbling by Sim. Can't deny that. Best score AOT final season part 2, Koda Yamamoto and Hiroyuki Sawano. Also the best ending sequence, which was Spy Families comedy by Jin Hoshino.
That was a
I
fun
actually
song.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I actually just got done listening to that before we hopped in here, guys. It's pretty banger. And then the Rumbling by Sim. I'm not usually a fan of screamo bands, but Sim really did a bang up job, and it fits into the feeling of the show so well.
That song goes so hard, dude. I remember watching like the first episode of part 2, and I was just like, we're in, boys. This is gas.
Yes, yes. All right, guys. So the ones I have is best main character. That's AOT's Aaron Yeager. No surprise. Best supporting character, Spy Family's Anya Forger, best girl.
Yeah.
And an interesting category here, must protect at all cost character, Spy Family's Anya Forger, of course.
Have we seen this category before? Or is this just
Yeah,
something they made for Anya?
no, I think they do it every year. I
Yeah.
was kind of surprised with all the Demon Slayer that it wasn't Nezuko, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I see that.
She's probably gotten it at some point. We got to go back and check that. Next, we have Best Comedy, which is Spy Family.
Okay.
Best Drama, AOT Final Season Part 2. And then finally, we have Best Romance, Kaguya-sama, Love is War. Have any of you guys seen that last one?
Yeah.
You have?
Yes, sir.
All right. It's the best romance to you, my boy.
I mean, out of last season, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
It the fans got what they wished for at the very end. So, and especially with this movie that just came out, I think on Valentine's Day, I believe it was. So, I agree with that one. So,
Perfect. Perfect.
Awesome. Well, that wraps up the Crunchyroll Anime Award winners. Next up, we got a nice, chill, relaxing little segment because I was on vacation, didn't have a lot of time to watch a lot of anime this week. So we're doing a little segment we're calling What the Degens Watch. So this is kind of just what we watch in our free time. You know, we obviously have the list of shows that we're watching weekly. We're doing the first looks, all that kind of stuff. But, you know, we all get into our own little shows on the side. So to start, I'm going to hand that off to Tyler, who has been watching To Your Eternity.
yes, sir. So I've been out of one of the many shows I watch. I got so many. I've been watching To Your Eternity, which is like a supernatural drama adventure type anime. It's basically about an orb that is cast to Earth to be observed from afar, capable of changing forms from beings whose reflection it captures. It first becomes a rock, and then, due to rising temperatures, a moss. It does not move until one snowy day, a wolf at death's door barely crosses by. When it takes the animal's form, it attains the awareness and its consciousness and starts to wander with an unclear destination in mind. Soon it comes across the wolf's master, a young boy, waiting for his tribe to return from a journey. Although the boy is lonely, he still hopes those whom he holds dear in his memories have not forgotten him, and that he will reunite with them one day. The boy wants to explore the new surroundings and decides to abandon his home with the orb to find paradise, using traces his tribe left behind. However, with a heavily injured body and no sight of his elder comrades, what becomes of the boy and the orb that transformed into the wolf? So this anime started back in 2021 with 20 episodes, and the second season is currently airing right now, and is scheduled for 20 episodes as well. Um, my first impressions of this show, you basically start off with the main character, which is the orb that was sent down to Earth. So it it's hella interesting because you're trying to figure out what you're actually watching, what's actually going on. And you don't really know at first, and after watching a lot of the first season, my impressions kind of changed. It's still very interesting. Obviously, it's all about the character development from the orb, or who gets later named Fushi. But this orb can only transform into things that he's seen live and die. So this show, it also gets extremely sad as well because there's a lot of death early on, and it also has a lot of action scenes as well. It's unique because it's about an orb, and you don't know a lot about it, and you're just watching it evolve as the show progresses. And with each episode, Fushi is learning more and more about the world, and you're learning more and more about Fushi and what he is. Um, the main things I really like about this show is like the action scenes can be pretty gruesome. It keeps it interesting.
Little gore.
Also,
Okay.
yeah. So I also liked it the whole time I've watched. I still haven't figured everything out yet, and that Fushi keeps developing. They do such a good job with this aspect, and he can't really die really. So he's a immortal being as well.
So I got a question about that. So how does
Yeah.
that come out like in the show that he can't die? Like, how does that look?
So whenever he dies, he's got certain his body regenerates itself, and the more times he dies, the faster he actually regenerates. You learn.
Oh,
Uh,
Wolverine ass. Okay.
yeah. So, and like I said, the only thing, like in order to take transform into a new body, he has to actually see it live and actually see it die. And then he's able to transform into like the last time he's seen it, that's the shape that he transforms in. So if it's like got its guts ripped open or something, then obviously his guts are going to be ripped open when he transforms into it. So
Interesting.
he
Okay,
keeps
cool.
the appearance as he last seen it. So
Gotcha.
it's pretty interesting. The only thing I really don't like about this show is it ends up being so damn sad, bro. Because you grow so close to some people and then they die, and then you see Fushi react differently with each death, depending on the relationship he had with them. It's just so sad. So with that being said, this is like a must watch, I believe. Unless you
Okay.
cry easily, and then you're probably gonna cry a lot. So, uh,
Gotcha.
what
Very interesting.
what about you, Bess? What you got for us?
So my anime that I've been watching on my free time is Ranking of Kings. This is definitely targeted towards like the shonen crowd, right? So
Shocker.
I mean, it's me. Well, I mean, it is what it is. So Ranking of Kings takes place in a world where all the kings are ranked against each other in a numerical system from strongest to weakest. Prince Boji, our main character, is the son of King Boss. Big old boy. A highly ranked king that has fallen ill. Unlike his father, Boji is small, physically weak, and deaf. It doesn't mention here he also cannot talk, but he's constantly overlooked by everyone around him, and he lives his days sporting a brave smile until he meets Kage, a shadow from the Thief clan. Their chance in meeting creates a bond that jumpstarts Boji's dream of becoming the best king in the system. So, guys, so kind of how this anime starts is we learn off the bat by Boji getting robbed that he can't talk, he can't hear anything, so he's really just processing the world through sign language and just really observant of what's going on around him. Um, the main villain in this is his stepbrother, who eventually usurps him as king. Um, and he's being guided by this what I would call like a shadow mirror. That's putting words in his, putting ideas in his ear to take power because he's easily manipulated. My favorite thing about the show, really though, is so it's kind of set in like a king's court. So a lot of people, some people like Boji, but don't think he should be king. Some people are so respective of the previous king, King Boss, that even though they don't think he's fit for king. I mean, who would think that in the first place, right? Um, they still go along with trying to make Boji king out of respect for his father. And then there's some people that are openly against Boji becoming king because he can't talk, can't hear anybody, and he is physically weak. So even during the first episode, we kind of figure out that's not completely true. He goes against his brother in a sparring match, and he can dodge really quickly. He hits him, but he can't land like a decisive blow. And that kind of just sets up the rest of the story as he becomes physically stronger. He still has his nimbleness, but really what this show does is it highlights certain characters. It overlaps their different motivations with their loyalties. So it does a really good job of kind of just staying true to the individual characters. And then you get so invested in Boji, it becomes like emotional whenever he does something good or bad. I mean, I feel it in my chest. I get so emotionally like involved with this show, and I saw a lot of people online felt the same way. Um, this is worth at least going to check out for a little bit. And just to list off some things, this was made by Wit Studio, who produced AOT seasons 1 through 3. They produced Spy Family and the first season of Vinland Saga. There's also some awards that this show has won. The Galaxy Award, they won that in the month of March in 2022. And the Galaxy Award, for you guys that don't know, over in Japan, that is like the highest honor for a TV show. So they have a winner each month, and then at the end of the year, they pick one of the 12. They didn't win it for the whole year, but just the fact that they thought that was the best thing on Japanese TV for a whole month, it says a lot about it. And Boji won Best Boy at the 6th Crunchyroll Anime Awards. I mean, he's so freaking lovable, man. And some of the things I like about it is the art style, the music's good. And then so it took me a while to actually decide to watch this show. It was coming up on my Crunchyroll feed over and over and over for about a year. And the only reason I didn't watch it is because of the cover art. Me and Tyler talked about it before.
Yeah.
Right. We talked about it before. It looks like a Western kids cartoon. And that kind of turned me off to it.
It did me as
once
well.
you actually get into it, what'd you say?
I say it did me as well, too.
Right. So, I mean, once you get past that, it's actually a really, really good story. There's a lot going on. And like the characters, they're their own people. They don't act in a tropey way. They have their own motivations. And I mean, that's all I'm going to say. I have a lot more I could say, but please go watch this. I don't think you'll regret it. Dan?
I was going to say that's the exact reason that I haven't watched that show is that the cover art looks so stupid.
It does, man. It's actually really good, though.
Yeah, so
I took the plunge, and it ended up being a good one.
So basically, y'all ignore the cover and just take our word for it. It's a good show. I've watched it all, so it's good. So
awesome. Well, I threw it back. I've been throwing it back lately, actually, with a rewatch of one of my go-to like late 2000s anime, Soul Eater. So Soul Eater follows 3 teams of Meisters and weapons as they strive to become the strongest protectors of humanity at the Death Weapon Meister Academy, which is founded by the fucking Grim Reaper, dude. Lord Death.
Yo,
that's gas.
Okay.
So basically, the goal of each Meister is to turn their weapon partner into a Death Scythe. And a Death Scythe is basically somebody worthy of being the Grim Reaper's weapon. So they're goated. You know, there's like maybe 9 of them in the world.
Oh, wow.
Basically, to do that, they have to eat 99 Kishin souls. A Kishin is basically a human that is going bad, like a baddie. Like one of the Kishins that you see in the beginning is like Al Capone.
Oh, okay. So this is like set in like modern times. Well, I guess modern times.
Kinda. It's really weird.
Okay.
And then they have to ingest 1 witch soul. So that's how they become a Death Scythe.
Okay.
The show came out back in 2008, ran for 51 episodes. It's donezo. You know, it's nothing you got to wait for. Big fan of that. I've probably watched the show, you know, probably 3 or 4 times now. Starting when I watched it back when it was first airing in 2008.
So you
it's
like
super
it?
fun. I love it. Yeah, it's up there with some of my favorites. I mean, it's not like a top 10, but it's quick, man. You can bang out 50 episodes in a month, no problem.
And that's really cool that it has so much rewatchability. I mean, you've watched it 3 or 4 times. I can't say there's many shows I've done that to.
Well, it is one of my favorite mangaka's works. It's Atsushi Okubo. He also does Fire Force.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we talked about that before. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities in the art style. Like they have the same moon. that skull you see everywhere in Fire Force, that's Lord Death's mask.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. So he takes a lot of his work over. The only kind of issue I have it was the ending. It leaves a bit to be desired. The whole show is about teamwork. In the end, they kind of get away from that. But one of the things that makes this show really unique is the fact that instead of just following like three main characters, like Naruto, you got Team 7, all like the standard 3 trio group. You have 3 trios of partners. So there's actually 7 people total that you follow throughout the entire story. Pretty, much the whole time. You got Maka and Soul, who is kind of the main character team. You got Blackstar and Tsubaki, and then you have Kid, who is actually Death the Kid. He is Lord Death's son, and his partner Liz and Patty, the Thompson sisters. There's some gangbangers from the streets of Brooklyn that he finds. So his big quirky thing is that everything needs to be symmetrical. So he'll be mid-fight and notice something is like off, and he'll stop to go fix it. It's absolutely hilarious.
Because that's important.
Wait a second, guys. I gotta go fix this. Talk about OCD.
Dude, there's a whole scene where they're fighting like Anubis or something like that. And in the beginning, when he's in the sarcophagus, it's perfectly symmetrical. He can't do it. And then the baddie comes out of the sarcophagus, and he doesn't match perfectly. And the kid just goes off on it and fucks his day up.
You're not symmetrical. Fuck off.
It's really fun, dude. The interactions between the characters, between all the characters, is just super fun. There's one character who is like the ultimate like comedic relief. Excalibur, the legendary sword.
Who is comedic relief?
He's only ever been wielded by 2 Meisters. King Arthur and some random weirdo at the school named Hero. So Excalibur has 1,000 provisions that must be met by his Meister. I took a couple of my favorites and put them down here. So number 1, his morning must start off with a cup of coffee with cream. Number 50. Number 58. Never talk to me when I'm humming to myself. Number 75. Celebrate Excalibur's birthday in a grand style. Excalibur thinks his birthday is every day.
Every day. Every day, bro. What? No wonder he's only had 2 people.
Sword. Jeez.
Number 202. Only the grandest toilet is acceptable. So there's a scene where he like has to go on a journey to find this random little duck toilet in the woods.
Wait. Swords have toilets, bro?
So the Meisters are actually people that turn into a sword or a weapon or a scythe or guns or yes. So like Baka and Soul's a human, but he turns into a scythe.
I gotcha.
Blackstar and Tsubaki. Blackstar is like a ninja, and then Tsubaki is like can turn into like 15 different weapons.
Okay, because I was thinking talking sword and like you can get away with like maybe the coffee and the humming.
No.
But once you got the toilet, I was like, yo, what the fuck's going on? Right
when we're done, look up a picture of Excalibur, dude. It's a treat. And then Liz and Patty turn into twin pistols, so they help Kid get past the fact that he needs to be symmetrical, which is why he has 2 partners.
Oh, perfect. Good for him.
That makes sense.
And
okay.
Number 452, you must attend the 5-hour storytelling party daily. So Excalibur goes off on a 5-hour rant every day to these people.
Oh no.
And it's all nonsense, dude. The stories make 0 sense. It's fucking hilarious. Everybody hates this guy. He's like the worst
I would
ever.
assume so. Like this is very, very high maintenance.
That is the most important of the 1,000 provisions.
Okay.
And then number 573 is you always must walk 3 steps behind me.
What a fuckboy. No, this is a straight up fuckboy. Right
But
here.
you gotta watch it though, because his powers are fucking insane, dude. Like nobody can touch him at all.
So
He is the ultimate weapon.
with that last one being said, so are they actually people, but they turn into swords at will? Is that what
exactly.
you're saying? Okay.
Basically, they're people that turn into weapons to fight Kishins and witches.
Okay. I got you.
But yeah, Excalibur is fucking hilarious, dude. He's got his whole theme song. It's obnoxious as all hell. Everybody hates him.
So he's super powerful, probably the most powerful. There's 1,000 provisions we're talking, guys, but he's extremely high maintenance. So there's a massive drawback.
And annoying. Incredibly annoying.
That's why there's only 2 people that's ever used him, I guess. So
yeah, that makes sense. It's all coming together for me now.
he's like one of those characters that like it's just so funny to watch. But yeah, I mean, the only thing I really disliked about this show is the ending's kind of whack. I just talked about teams the whole time, and in the end, it gets away from teamwork, which is kind of lame. But I don't want to spoil it. So
Yeah, I
great
got
show
you.
otherwise, though.
Perfect.
All right.
Awesome. What do you got, Tyler?
So my next show on the list is called Fruits Baskets, which for all y'all romantic fans out there, this is a romantic drama. It's the remake as well of the original Fruits Baskets, and it tells the story of Toru Honda, an orphan girl who, after meeting Yuki Kyo and Shigure Sama, learned that 13 members of the Soma family are possessed by the animals of the Chinese zodiac and are cursed to turn into their animal forms when they are weak, stressed, or when they are embraced, hugged by anyone of the opposite sex who is not possessed by a spirit of the zodiac.
Is this some furry shit?
Sounds like some furry
Uh,
shit to me.
This I'm taking this right off my list, dude. This is some furry shit.
no. So it's not really like that. So it's actually more. It's got more depth in it than you think. Like it's pretty deep. So um, the start date of this show, I think it was back in 2019. Um, which, like I said, it was a remake of the original one from 2001. There's like a total of 63 episodes and a movie. Three over 3 seasons, I believe. Um, the first impressions of this show, it was actually a little slow starting off. I actually quit watching it when I first started a long time ago. Not because it was boring, just because it was like a very slow start, and I just started watching one piece at a time as well. So that could be a thing. Um, but now I think I'm like halfway through the second season, more than halfway probably. I can say this is one of my favorite romance anime. The reason why this show is unique, it's it's like your traditional love triangle, but like mentioned in the summary earlier, the Suma family members turn into animals from the Chinese zodiac signs whenever they're hugged by the opposite sex, weak, stressed, whatever. Uh, so and their family also has like a certain guideline of how they should live and do things. They're like a very prestigious family or something like that. And Toru is the female main character, and her father died when she was very young, and her mother died very recently, leaving her basically like an orphan living out of a tent. Um, she's like a selfless human being who tries to make everyone else needs come before hers, kind of. But she soon moves in with some of the Suma family, including the other two male main characters, Kiyu and Yuki. So I basically like everything about this show, and I can't really get into a lot of the details because it would be hella spoilers everywhere. So I'll just state that this is one of my favorite romance shows and that it is in my top 10, even though I'm just a little over halfway through the whole, show. The plot is enough to make it interesting, even without the romance aspects, because it is very deep with the
Okay.
Soma family and stuff. So,
I have a question.
yeah.
So, does one person from the Summer family always turn into one zodiac animal?
Yeah, so like there's a cat spirit, rat spirit,
Tiger, all that good stuff.
all the
Bunny.
That
zodiac
poor
signs.
rat
So
girl, dude.
I
well, actually
know.
the rat is one of the is actually Yuki. It was the
She,
rat.
she's a baddie rat.
No, he it's a he. So
Oh, ugh.
but he's one of the more prestigious members of the family. There's one that's cursed and it's actually the cat, which is Kiyu.
Poor
So
kitty.
he's like treated like worse than dirt. And he's basically cursed pretty much. Uh, so and that kind of plays into the story. Toru tries to take it upon herself to try to kind of fix the family, kind of, but they don't want to be fixed and stuff like that. And like I said, Toru, Kiyu, and Yuki, Kyu and Yuki kind of like Toru, and Toru kind of likes them too. But sometimes she'll have to choose, which one. Basically, your standard love triangle. So, um, it's actually surprising which one she does choose later on down the road.
Okay.
Um, but
Interesting.
the only thing I don't like about this show is, like I said before, was the fact that it took so long in the beginning to actually start progressing. It was a very slow start. But I'm excited to finish this up because, as I mentioned as well, it's in my top 10 already. So,
All right.
but
Perfect.
yeah, that's all. That's all for me.
Cool. So, guys, you will recognize this from a couple of episodes that we've done, and it was actually during our showdown that Tyler recommended ReZero to us. We all watched the first few episodes, but since I've gotten 100% hooked, not going to bore you with a long synopsis, but I will remind you that the main character is Subaru Natsuki. He was a shut-in that got transported to a different world, and his one power is return by death. Each time he dies, he returns to his last checkpoint and has to relive his life. So initially, I started this off, I watched the first 3 or 4 episodes and I said, hey, maybe it's a low 7, high 6 kind of vibe. It was like okay to me. But man, I think I'm 11 or 12 episodes deep and it's a hanging 8 right now for me. It got so much better. And kind of my initial thoughts and worries about the show was there was some annoying characters like Felt, but since like the 4th or 5th episode, she's gone. Thank God. Couldn't stand her.
She's back. She's back, dude. Don't worry. She's back.
No.
Oh, no. It just dropped down to a 5, bro.
Yeah. Yep. It's a solid 5 now, guys. And so another thing that I was worried about was how repetitive the first 4 or 5 episodes were. But that was really because he didn't understand his power yet. And the control he has to exert over his own situations. He learns about it, he adapts to it, and when he's hanging out in the mansion going forward, he still has some trouble moving forward in the story and going back to the checkpoint, but he takes such different approaches. I mean, it's so good, and you get invested in the other characters, even though they do get restarted every time. I'm emotionally invested in some of the characters. It's a 50 episode anime so far, so it's a pretty quick watch. This is something you can take care of in a few days if you really, really get after it.
A few days.
Oh,
A
Jeez.
few days. But it's just like there's so much depth into what Super has to find out. Who killed him? Sometimes he doesn't even know. It's not like he's always awake when he dies, even. But it took care of all of my concerns about the show. Not going to bore you guys with beating the dead horse or anything like that, but it's an 8 for me now. I've been watching it almost every night for the last week. It's been phenomenal.
So I got a question for you. The important question. Who's top girl out of the 3?
Oh man.
Who is it?
Ram, bro. No
Dude,
question.
Oh wow, he got me too. He pegged me. He pegged me on that one. So yeah, it's Rim for me. I really enjoy it. And so a mark of a good show, for me is you watch it and it's where did the time go? So episodes 7 and 8, I watched 7 and I was like, that couldn't have been more than 5 minutes. It was amazing, man. It was amazing.
And I told y'all that y'all was worried about Amelia being your, trope, normal trope. But I was like, they do a very good job at all the side characters being, pushed up. So
Yes. And I mean, that kind of is one of the reasons I really like One Piece is because all the villains, the side characters, they all get their own little backstory. And it looks like ReZero is doing the same thing.
yeah. Hopefully it's a 9+ for you in the future. So
Dude, I'm going to keep watching it. I will let you know.
Nah, man. Subaru's annoying as all hell. That's my only take on it. Fuck that guy.
Oh no.
Weirdo.
I mean, I liked him. He started acting for himself. He's a fucking weirdo. But he started doing some things himself. So
I can't watch more than 3 or 4 episodes of him. Nah, this dude's cringe, man.
Oh man, he is. He really is. I've gotten past it for the most part, though.
Awesome. And I can do my last show that I just started watching really quick. So I actually just started watching Mobile Suit and Gundam Seed. So to set the scene, it's Gundam. There's a war between Earth and space.
Surprise,
Some
surprise.
random kid, Kira Yamato, somehow gets sucked into this, and he gets to pilot a Gundam. The end.
Oh,
Perfect.
Boom.
I'm only 2 episodes in, man. So
Hey,
I'm
I'm just
hyped
happy
'cause
you're liking it, dog.
I love Gundam, and I'm getting more giant space robot battles. So we're here for it, baby.
Yes, sir. Gundam's fucking awesome.
But one of the best things about this so far is they went back to like the classic Zaku designs.
Cash.
So yeah, they're called Jins, I think, in this, but like they're classic Zaku's, man. And the Gundam styles are awesome too. And the animation's been crisp. I'm watching the remaster that got re-released in 2012, so it looks good. But
Okay.
I'm really excited to see how it progresses, man. So more to come on that. I'll post in the Discord. Join
Right
that.
on.
Yeah, join our Discord. Yeah. So if that's all for that, y'all want to move on to the weekly rundown this week?
Yeah, let's
Let's
do it.
knock it out.
Alrighty. So, this week on we don't have a One Piece or Buddy Daddies episode.
Daddy Daddies.
Yeah,
The
we're just gonna start
Baddie
calling it
Daddy.
Baddie Daddies. So we don't have a One Piece or Baddie Daddies episode this week.
I mean, they are bad. They
Yeah,
are
they
some good looking guys.
I think One Piece is on like a 2-week break, I believe, and Buddy Daddies they released a recap episode. Unfortunately, so but we do have the new Attack on Titan episode 88, and also My Hero Academia 135, which are both pretty good shows. And y'all know the drill. There will be spoilers for both shows, so if you haven't seen them yet, now's your chance to pause the podcast and go watch them. While we wait, we do have some Attack on Titan news as well. The second and last episode of this final part was confirmed to air during this fall anime season. So, yeah. Now, if y'all are ready, let's get started with the rundown with Attack on Titan episode 88, titled "The Final Chapters Special 1."
What a lame name.
Yeah,
It really is.
I was expecting more from this, honestly, but here we
Yeah,
are.
when I was putting together our outline, I was like, "There's got to be an actual name to this," and it was just that. I was
No.
like, okay, whatever.
When I was trying to find it in Crunchyroll, I'm like, "Is this it? This is a weird name." I was like, "Okay, whatever. It's an hour long. I guess this is it." So, but yeah. So the summary of this, basically, the fate of the world hangs in the balance as Eren unleashes the ultimate power of the Titans, the Rumbling. With a burning determination to eliminate all who threaten Eldia, he leads an unstoppable army of colossal Titans towards Marley. Now a motley crew of his former comrades and enemies, they scramble to halt his deadly mission. The only question is, can they stop him? So, guys, we've been waiting a long time for this episode. I think about a year, right?
Oh, yes, sir. So AOT episode 87 came out on April 3rd, 2022. So we pretty much waited 11 months to the day.
Almost
Now
a year.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And I'm going to go ahead and go into my little angry rant about how long we've been waiting and how long this has been going on. Dan said it on our first episode, and I'm going back to it. I'm not done. So AOT, the final season started December 7th, 2020. It will end in fall 2023. That is 3 full years for a season. Now, I will start by saying I did enjoy this this part 1 of the 2 or 3 parts of this last season. This hour-long episode, I think if it was part of a regular season, if it was 2 episodes a part of a regular final season, I would have been fine. But to have to wait 11 months and half of it is not really any action. It's talking, important talking, I will say. But it felt underwhelming to have to wait 11 months for this. Did anybody else feel the same way?
I'm going to say no because, I mean, so I've read Attack on Titan and I
Sure.
knew what was coming. But the conversations and everything that happened are so important for the next part that it had to happen. Like, you can't get around that. And there was a good bit of action too. I mean, it started off with the rumbling and just watching people get fucking trampled by colossal titans. Like,
Yes.
I was fired up, dude. I was like, yes, we've been waiting for this. We've been waiting for the rumbling. We've been waiting for an army of Aaron-controlled Titans whose only job is to walk.
Trample them all.
That's
Yes.
it, man. Just kick shit, walk, stomp everything, and just go on your day, dude. That's it.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I just thought it was hard to go from that level of hype. Like I was already hyped waiting for this, and then it kind of just stepped back, and I was like, okay,
So
wait a second.
do you think it would have been better if instead of like they calling it the fourth and final season or whatever? Do you think it would be better if they would have just went like season 5, 6, 7 or whatever instead of parts?
I would have liked that personally.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting drip fed at this point. Just give me what you got, and I think Mappa's been criticized for this before. I was looking into it before we started tonight's episode. Is they kind of have bad timing on getting new anime out and new seasons because they take on so much. And I can't really fault the animators or the people in the studio working on the projects for it because they got a lot on their plate. I think that kind of more comes up to management, but it is still Mappa's fault as a whole.
I thought you were just gonna say blame us for watching it.
I got to. I'm too involved.
Yeah, there are a lot of things with that, though. I mean, a lot of anime in Japan are still going on hiatuses, everything because of COVID out there. Like,
Yes, sir.
there's a lot of external factors on this. And Mappa said it was going to take a while because they wanted to really do this justice. And frankly, I think the animation of this episode was god tier. You know, this is
it was A+++, S tier.
so I was okay waiting for it. I also know what happens, so I'm not dying like you guys are to figure out what goes on in the end, you know?
Yeah, I actually enjoyed this episode. So I thought everything that happened, like that Dan was saying, it's pretty substantial. I mean, we gotta live through this first part in order to see the second part, because I'm sure the second part is gonna be like it's gonna be bad. So it's gonna be
Sure.
not,
Yeah.
but bad in a good way, I think.
Oh,
So,
it's gonna be like 45 minutes of action
yeah. So
That's what I want to hear right there.
and like 15 minutes of like the coming down off the peak
yeah. So
of classic
Okay.
storytelling. So we're
Okay.
working our way to the precipice. Don't worry, boys.
Very good. Yeah, I didn't dislike the episode, but I had to critique that. I think a lot of people feel that way. But speaking of these Titans just walking, Dan wasn't because he's read the manga, but Tyler, were you kind of surprised at how like dumb and kind of like dronish they were? They didn't really act to anything around them.
So like I get it. Like Aaron is controlling them, obviously.
Right.
So they're only listening to what he's saying, basically, and his goal is obviously to, like Dan said, trample and just walk in a straight line, basically. But the only thing that really bothered me about this is that they're literally like knocking over walls, stepping on towers, stepping on buildings, tall buildings and
Mhm.
shit. But then some Titans fall or whatever due to Hanji and stuff. And they actually started like falling like dominoes because they're stepping on them. Like what?
See,
These
that's what
dudes,
I
these
mean. Yeah, I
dudes
just
are
thought it was
like
kind of funny.
these dudes are like stepping on buildings and towers and kicking over walls and shit. And y'all gonna fall because you stepped on a Titan? Like what's up with that?
I don't know. I guess that's
So,
their one weakness, other Titans.
but that's the only complaint I have about that. Really, is that was such a you know I didn't expect that to happen, but I guess for the plot, But
Yep. And they were like falling down the mountains, coming towards like
yeah,
the that little cove that the airship was sitting in. I was like, these motherfuckers dumb as hell.
I forgot what I saw. I saw it somewhere on Twitter, but somebody took that scene and they put it to like one of the original Attack on Titan like songs. It's like, if I fall, will you something like that? And it was,
Yeah.
I was crying. I was like, oh my God, this is so funny. What'd you guys think about before the rumbling, before we saw actually how much carnage these colossal titans were doing? What'd you guys think about the scene at the very beginning with Aaron and the little, I guess, refugee boy? He's watching him get beat up in the alleyway
okay.
and decides not to help him because in the end, he knows that he's going to murder him and everyone.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
What did you
mean,
guys think about that when he carried him up the hill and just basically has like a total meltdown because of his guilt of what's about to happen?
So I didn't realize he had so much guilt in his heart, and that was actually really good to see. Um, but it kind of explored where he was in doing this. It's something he feels like he has to do, but he doesn't actually want to do it. He still understands that he's killing people. He's trying to kill the whole world outside of his own people. And to see that weigh on him and him to, cry tears and just be yelling, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. This has to be done." But I think that him having that conflict, it just kind of tells you where he thinks him and his people are. But before I go forward, what's your thoughts, Tyler?
well, I think that it's good that we seen that too, but I think that like Dan said, he said that he wasn't gonna save. He said that it doesn't make sense to save him or whatever, but he actually does save him because that's the Aaron we know, and I'm glad to see that Aaron's still there, and I felt like we needed to see this as well because if not, then Aaron is just like a psychopath that just, uh, he basically commits genocide for just the hell of it. So we actually
So
see that he's a human still and still Aaron. So
so Mikasa has asked this question to herself before, and I don't want to. I want to know your thoughts on it, Tyler. She asked herself something along the lines of, "Has Aaron always been this way, or did he become this way?" What you saying? We sell this side of Aaron. My personal belief is that he's always been like this. His determination, his when he gets his back against the wall, he'll bite and claw you. And I think it's just him with more power. What are your thoughts?
well, like Aaron, he's doing this. He's doing all this because he wants to save his friends and all the people he knows, and he's always been like that, I believe. And yeah, I mean, he's doing it a roundabout way, but that
Roundabout? Bro, it's mass
well,
genocide, dog. That's
yeah, I
not the
mean,
right word for
Round
this.
that's just
no,
very,
like,
very direct.
I mean, he's doing it in the I he's doing it in a much different way than most people would do. So uh,
Right.
yeah. But I don't. There's not a whole lot of options for him to save his friends right now. I mean, yeah, they could have went with Zeke's plan. Just a euthanize everyone, all the Eldians. But would that really have saved him from like Marley and stuff? So I don't know.
Yeah, the key thing with this is that you look at it and they talk about doing a mini rumbling, like saying just taking down the port in Marley with the alliance between all the nations to attack Parity. But
Right.
in the end, that's not going to save them forever. That's not going to save his home forever. One thing you got to remember too is the Attack Titan has the ability to transcend users and see in the past and in the future of everything that's going to happen. So Aaron has seen this scenario and he knows that this is what he needs to do to save his people. We don't know how it's going to end at this point, but this is the path that was shown to him and that he needs to go through with. So that's just one thing to think about that too. I mean, in the end, I mean, if you're in Aaron's shoes, would you rather watch your friends and family, in even their children, future children, stuff like that, still just keep this cycle of violence going on and forever? Or would you rather just put it to an end in the most gruesome way you possibly could, you know?
Right. Yeah, because I mean, before they went on that island, they were subjugating people for what, 2,000 years or something like that. He's just
Yeah.
he's trying to stop it all, which kind of still leaves me on his side because I feel like the rest of the world is kind of fucked around and found out. Right. They were hatching up a plan to invade the island, and Aaron was like, I wanted to come over here and kind of just see what was going on in the rest of the world, but he found out everybody hates them and wants to kill them. So I'm still kind of on his side, not about the way he's doing it, but the thought of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
there's never a solution where mass genocide is the right answer, you know?
No, no.
right, right.
Yeah, and like I said, I think Aaron's the same person. He's just has the tools to be this extreme now to save his friends in this matter. Um, but like Dan said, mass genocide is obviously never the answer. We learn about
Yeah.
it in all the history books of any country. So yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, the parallels between Marley and Nazi Germany through all of this are just terrifying. And it's really kind of crazy to see that it's kind of flipped the script on who's pulling off the mass murder vibes, because in
Mhm.
history it's always been the stronger party and it's never been the weaker party that is oppressed coming out and stomping everybody with, 100,000 colossal titans zooming around the world. So it's just interesting to see that perspective of it. But
They didn't have the
it
Jaeger brothers.
but
God
it's it's
bless.
just it's just one of those things, man, where like, you think about it and they always called it the Eldian problem. And like that just those words never sat well with me, like you can't call an entire race of people a
A
problem, man.
problem. Yeah.
And there's just no clear cut way for a good answer to this. I mean, Zeke's plan was to basically take away the reproductive abilities of an entire race of people so they
Which
die
is
off.
which is just delayed genocide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same thing.
And
That basically doesn't like protect them either. Like Marley could still attack them, even after the Zeke's plan. So
Right. Which they probably would.
yeah, they was going to regardless. So
yeah,
as
and I
we
mean
seen,
a mini rumbling doesn't work either because as we've clearly seen, the rest of the world is developing better anti-Titan weapons and stuff like that. So, you cripple them for 100 years, they're going to come back with nukes next time. Essentially, like
Right. They're gonna be ready. I mean, especially somebody their whole half the world gets killed or whatever it would be. It's like, yeah, we have to make sure that's not gonna happen. So we're gonna find a solution to that specific problem and we're gonna be freaking good at it.
definitely. I mean, this was a gruesome episode with the amount of death we saw. I mean, I still don't think Attack on Titan is even airing in China right now because it is censored. They won't do it.
Oh wow, I did not know that at
Yeah,
all.
a few years ago they decided it wasn't okay. There's a couple other anime on that list. I know Tokyo Ghoul season 2 isn't in China. There's a few others, but this episode really just takes it to the next level with the extreme violence. So sorry
Yes.
to any of our Chinese listeners. This part for you is kind of useless unless you pirate it.
yeah, I mean, I would recommend
I'd recommend a VPN.
I'd recommend something. Y'all need to watch this. So
I'm sure they can figure it out. And to your point with like gruesome killings, you don't really see many animated shows or really shows, movies in general show children dying, and they did it in the worst way in this one, which I thought was crazy. To go across that line, I think they're just really trying to put it in your face, like this is wrong. This is terribly, terribly wrong, and I thought that was necessary in a way,
yeah.
but you just don't really see many people go there. And I thought that was really, really interesting.
And like you said, I don't think they're trying to glorify it either, which would
No.
be an issue if they was. They're like, trying to make it seem, the worst thing possible. So, but yeah, I'm actually surprised that there's some places, refusing to show it, but I get it, I guess. So,
Definitely. And in this episode too, we saw one of my favorite characters in Hanji. She basically goes out in the blaze of glory she's always wanted. But right before that, you see her have like an interaction with Levi. And Levi, for the first time, says, "Devote your heart," the old Shinjo Sasageo, which
yeah.
Hmm.
the classic AOT line, it's in every song there was.
Yes, yes, yes.
What did you guys think of that interaction before Hanji goes on her blaze of glory moment and, delays the rumbling?
So yeah, like you said, we had never heard Levi say those words to someone. And as much as it's said throughout the show, and like you said, it even in all the openings, I think that just shows how much gravity this moment has. What their mission is so important to the survival of humanity in mass that he's like, hey, we got to put it all on the line here, Hanji, make it happen. And he just says that to inspire her. And the fact that he only said it one time, she knows that, I got to go do this. I gotta go put on my big girl pants, and she went out in a blaze of glory.
Mhm.
That was one of my favorite, moments out of the entire show. Her sacrifice was immense.
It was.
Tyler, you have any thoughts about it?
Um, I think that like Levi, obviously, like I said, he's never seen it before or said it before. Um, but I think it's more along the lines that he's the one that was always doing something like Hanji was fixing to do. Like never did really trust anybody else to do something like that, so he was the one that done it. But this time he knew that he had a bigger role to play, so to speak. He's kind of hurt as well a little bit, but I think that Levi has that grit in him, that to push past his limits, and still get it done, even though he's hurt.
You,
So
you had to work that one in here, huh?
yeah, I had to
Yeah,
carry
that
over
wasn't
from
lost
last
on us,
week.
dog.
I took it a very different way than you guys did, I guess.
Yeah.
So I mean, Levi and Hanji, they go way back. They've been in the Scout Regiment probably together for close to 20 years. And there's been foreshadowing that they are the
Oh,
two sides of the same coin. They always have each other's back, and I really think that was more of like an unconditional love, like him acknowledging her in that sense. I don't mean necessarily romantic or like a brother kind of sister kind of thing, but like just they've been through so much together, and I think that was him acknowledging that if this is how she wants to go, he supports her.
and then
And
yeah, and
That's a good take, I think, man.
that's
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
a really
what
good take.
I thought as well. I thought that that's what she wanted to hear, and I think that's what Levi, he knew that she wanted to hear something along those lines as well. So
yeah, and I mean, there's even a scene earlier in season 4. I can't remember which episode where it's after Hanji saves Levi from Floke and all those assholes. When they jump in the river,
yeah,
there's a scene down the line after that where she says basically like, yeah, we should just build a house in the woods and live together kind of thing. So I think there's a little something there, a little
Hey,
something, something.
hey, hey.
okay. Hanji's she's not bad. She's missing that eye, but she's not bad. So
Oh, Cyclops.
I mean, hey man, it's Short King season. Give
It
Levi a break
is.
here.
get it where you can,
Levi's goated. Absolutely.
Oh shit.
Awesome. And then yeah, just after, I mean, after she, delays the rumbling by going beast mode on these colossal titans, what do you guys think of the scene after she finally goes out in a literal blaze of glory from the Titan steam?
Yeah.
And it goes on, shows her and Erwin and all these Survey Corp members previous kind of looking on at what's going on. What do you guys think of that scene?
Tyler, I'll
Um,
let you go first on this one.
I got you. So I thought it was pretty interesting because like she asked, I think she asked Levi, what do you think that you think they're looking down upon us, and or you think they're proud of us or something like that. So it's fun to get to actually see some of these past people that we looked up to, and see them I guess welcome Hanji into, I guess that would be called like a purgatory type thing. So, um, but yeah, I thought it was pretty neat, honestly. So,
Yeah, I think it also grounded the show. I think
yeah,
when you're watching a show that's this long, that's been going on for so many years, it's easy to forget about kind of the people that you've lost along the way, and just to have them show back up and say, "Hey, we're here, we're watching, we can see you trying, keep going, go, 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 go." I know that meant a lot to Hanji, and it means a lot to me. It's not lost on me in a way, and just knowing that they're not just dead.
yeah.
They'll be welcomed with open arms with each sacrifice. Adds even more to their deaths to me.
And she like looked up to these people too, like Erwin and them. So,
Oh yeah, and for the few through the first few seasons, and even now, they're always talking about it. Do not let your comrades die in vain.
yeah.
And it's good that they're respecting them because they can actually see them. What was your thoughts on it, Dan?
Yeah, it was a really touching scene. My only kind of thing was that, when I was reading the manga, the same thing. I was like, it's cool, but it doesn't really add much to the story, I guess.
Mhm.
Like it's a good feel good kind of moment, but it doesn't push the story further anymore. But I don't know. It was interesting to see Erwin was the first person to reach a hand out to her and welcome Hanji to the other side, I guess, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, that was freaking awesome.
He that goat though. I always loved watching him. So
Yeah, the one who they potentially should have saved instead of Armin with the spinal fluid back in, was that season 3?
Uh, is it? Or
I
was
remember
think
it
it was.
happened,
four?
but I can't remember which
Boy,
season it is.
I think it was season 3. It was before. It was before they basically reclaimed the entire island. I think so.
Yeah, I
Or
ain't
like
even
in
gonna
the
try.
Yeah, I think it was season 3. But speaking of our boy Armin, we got some exciting news about him. He is now the 15th commander of the Survey Corps.
Yeah.
Fuck it, good for him, man. Good for him.
Honestly,
Armin
he's earned
deserves
it,
it.
right? Yeah. Man's been man's been through a lot, and I think he's the right person for the job. One thing that I thought was weird that they were still willing to just talk it through with Aaron, even as he's murdering tens of thousands of people. But during our watch party, some we guys, for your reference, we do watch parties for some of these shows in our Discord. Another reason to come join us over there, along with some good conversations. One of our listeners said that Armin gives her Monomusuke vibes from One Piece. Does anybody see that or agree with that at all?
I absolutely hated that take. Sorry, Bales.
Calling her out. Okay.
Sorry, Bales. Armin, is not a pussy at all. He just tries to find the least violent solution there is. I mean, the man is the colossal titan, has literally killed hundreds of people. The man took a battleship and flipped it over. He's not Momo. Not by any means. But
so I ended up rewatching because I did watch it during the watch party. I ended up watching it myself so I could take notes. And I was looking for some comparisons. I was trying to figure out, where Bells was with that. And he's a little whiny at times, but that's the best I could do with it. You know what I'm saying? But he's, like you said, he's taking lives. He's been out here earning his stripes like everybody else.
Definitely
Yeah.
not. I mean, maybe go back to season 1 when he's just a kid. Sure.
Yeah, that's more fitting.
But no kid is going to handle that situation unless you're Aaron Yeager.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Low-key psychopath.
And I disagree with it as well. I know that Armin's always been kind of soft, but he's never been a coward. And Momo, he's a coward, most of the time. So
That's a great distinction, actually. Yeah.
But Armin, on the other hand, he does what needs to be done. That's why Hanji gave him the leadership role. He just really tries to find another way instead of violence and killing. That's what I guess that's another reason why Hanji gave him the leadership role, because he always looks for other options no matter what. And especially when it comes to his friends, as we've seen over and over again, when it comes to he's always looking to try to talk him back to save him. That's what Aaron's trying to do to him and all his friends. He's trying to save him. So why not Armin try to do it to him? So I don't know.
Yes. One thing I wanted to make sure we talked about, which I thought was really cool because it kind of encapsulate what AOT is, at least the characters. So when Armin is talking to Annie on the ship, I believe near the start of the episode, after we get through the rumbling scenes, Annie says he's a good person, and then Armin replies he doesn't like the phrase "good person." He's had to kill his comrades, his friends, and many, many, many other people. I don't think there's a lot of shows, TV series, or even movies that have so many characters, but nobody's hands are clean. Is that something you guys like about this show? Does it add a little complexity, not having a, knight in shining armor, hands clean kind of character?
Yeah, definitely. I think Attack on Titan does a really good job kind of living in the gray area of humanity. Everybody's fighting for what they believe isn't right. And on both sides of the coin, between either Marley or the Eldians, I mean, it's all, everybody's got blood on their hands, just like you're saying, and they do a fantastic job kind of living in that gray realm where there's no good and there's technically like there's no evil, in the end of it. Everybody's doing something for what they believe is right.
Right. Yeah, that's something I really enjoy.
And I also think like um another reason why Armin doesn't really like the that good person phrase. um I think it's got something to do with the fact that he can't call himself a good person anymore after all the things that he's done. And he hates being reminded of what he's actually done in the past, especially like since he's been the Colossal Titan. So I think that he really hates being reminded of his bad deeds. So,
Yes. And during this episode, we see how many people have all that guilt on their mind.
yeah.
And, that's part of, I'm sure that's part of the reason why they want to stop this. It's like, hey, we've all been killing each other so much. This is too far. This is too far. And I typically don't like shows or movies that have like a clear black and white. So everything in AOT being in the gray is phenomenal for me personally. Because when it's really black and white, I usually end up siding with the villains. Take that for what it is. But I think they do a really good job of it, and that's why I've stuck with it, even though I'm a little teed off about this final season.
Yeah.
Definitely. I
And
guess go for it, Tyler.
no, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna move on.
Oh,
So yeah,
okay,
go for
yeah.
it.
No, I was just gonna say like and Armin and them they really haven't seen what Aaron has seen as well. So them trying to stop them, they really don't have all the information that Aaron has got with his future knowledge and stuff. So who's really in the right as well. So that's
Right.
all I was gonna
I
say.
had never
Definitely.
really thought about that actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, and I guess the episode concludes with a big awesome entry of a lot of people. Before that, they're on the plane trying to devise a plan, and Aaron uses the power of the paths to basically take all the members of the Eldian Marley Alliance, who are on the plane, and zap them in there and talk to them to literally tell them there's no talking, guys. I mean, that's Armin and Mikasa's plan was we're going to talk to you. We're going to try and talk this out. And he's like, nah, fam, ain't no talking. This is it. This is my plan. This is my freedom. This is my will. This is what I'm doing. And they also get to the point that Aaron didn't take the freedom from his comrades because with his power, he could have literally just made them all sit by and watch. But I thought that's a really interesting point, and it goes into a little further in the next episode. But what do you guys think about that?
Um, I mean, I think the whole reason why he's done that, or is doing what he's doing is for Eldians to be free, obviously, and to save them. So if he took away their, rights, to be free as well, if he made them just do what he wished, then he would be going against what he's trying to do, and I think that would, defeat the purpose of him committing mass genocide. So. What about you, Bass?
Yeah. I really did love that he got to say that because throughout the entire story, he's talked so much about freedom, how he feels like a caged bird living inside those walls. And he knows that his comrades and his fellow Eldians feel that way and have felt that way their entire life. Never a moment of freedom, very few moments of peace since the beginning of the show. And he says, I'm taking everybody else's freedom away so we can be free, you
Mhm.
know? And I think that's that little psychopath in him is like, yeah, this is justified just so my friends can be happy and get old and be free. And he's put so much value on it. And it was, I just think it was good for him to say. I don't really know what else to say about it. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. And then the episode ends where they finally catch up to the rumbling and whatever the hell monster the attack titan slash founding titan has become, which is an awesome design, honestly, in my opinion. It is
It's
terrifying.
nuts. Yes, it is.
It's terrifying, dude. The like seeing an animated versus what the manga was, I was like, holy shit.
Right.
know.
And when they first showed it, like it looks so fragile because most of it's just a skeleton. But I didn't really get the sense of the true sense of scale until they were writing and using their EDM gear um, on its back, and it's like just these pieces of vertebrae and ribs are huge. It's not as fragile as it looked initially to me, And it was just a great scene, them jumping out of the airship.
Oh yeah, dude. The entrance when Reiner comes in and just chomps his hand and becomes the Colossal Titan and attacks this weird, skeleton looking beast Titan thing. Was just awesome, man. Absolutely awesome. I loved that scene. Like, I don't know how you can watch that and be like, this is an okay episode. That was gas.
It was pure electric there at the end. I was so hyped.
Yeah, I'm kind of. Do y'all think that Zeke is still in that, or you think it's purely Aaron at that point?
So kind of what my thought of it at the time was that basically Aaron absorbed the powers of the Beast Titan at that time of when they connected with the Founding Titan, similar to how he has the power of the Warhammer Titan and the Attack Titan and the Founding Titan. I thought it was similar. Like he got absorbed is my kind of vibe with it. That's why Aaron can control it in that sense.
Yeah, I just didn't know if like Zeke was still in there somewhere, kinda. I didn't know.
Is he? Because they, Levi and the guys on the airship were talking about Zeke. So I was very confused. I even tried to research it and I couldn't find a straight answer for myself.
But maybe they don't really know what's going on as well. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I think at the time that they didn't know what was going on.
Okay.
But you kind of get the vibe that it's like, Zeke's dead.
This is just I'm pretty certain of it, which was why I was so confused when they were saying that. But they have no way of knowing.
He's like hanging on like a tree, like limb off of a tree or something like that. So it was kind of
he's essentially part of the Founding Titan at that point. So
yeah, it kind of reminded me of like White Zetsu, just kind of like popping out of stuff, morphing out of stuff.
Oh, gotcha,
good call.
Okay.
So is there anything else you guys want to cover for this episode?
No, I'm really excited for the finale, dude. That might have to be its own episode at that point. Like we just have to cut everything out when we get there.
We'll see. We'll see.
I'm with it. I'm stoked. I'm ready for it to happen. Kind of
ready. We're gonna have to obviously watch this again before we do that because I'm gonna watch it like a movie.
Of course, yes.
Maybe do a little recap or something. I don't know.
Most definitely. I'm with it.
Well, if y'all ready, we'll move on to My Hero.
Definitely.
Let's get it going.
Alrighty. So we're gonna move on to My Hero Academia, episode 135, titled "Friend." I'll read y'all a quick summary to get started. As Deku goes off alone in his quest for justice, his classmates realize something is wrong and try to find a way to help him. Which leads us to where we are now. We come into another episode full of dark Deku, and this time we have more heroes retiring. Is it ever gonna stop? So Bass, let us know which hero retired this time.
So the next boy where his career went the way of the dodo is Death Arms. So yeah, he resigned and he actually noted why, and it was because of all the ridicule and criticism he's been receiving. I think this was a big hit to the heroes overall, just because even before you had these mass resignations, prior to him, he was already a top 50 hero. We had seen him several times throughout the story. And I think this kind of goes back to what All For One said during the episode. He kind of tells Deku that, his path is thorny and his heart will get torn down over time. And I know we probably all saw that coming as far as, the weight of the situation wearing on people. But, I thought that maybe a lot of the resignations were over with. Guys, do we have any other characters that we think could, have a lot of heavy hearts, or people that might resign? Do y'all see anybody else out there that you can think of that might do something like this in such a crucial time?
I'm not sure of that. I think this was really to signify the effect that this new era they're in is having on the professional hero role.
Right.
I mean, Death Arms goes right into it. And he's like, 10 congratulations and good jobs. He just gets outbeat by one boo. And, you see that so much in life where, like, say you're whatever, you read the negative comments first and they're the ones that weigh in your mind. And obviously that's what he saw and that's why he did this. So I feel like that's just the vibe that a lot of professional heroes are having right now. If it was to come to another hero that were designed, I'm just really not sure because who knows at that point? There's so many heroes.
Right. There really is. Yes.
But out of the main ones, I can't foresee any of the main, the top 3, top 10 guys doing this. I can't see that happening, but who knows,
Exactly. Exactly.
Speaking of like retired heroes, we learned that they are leaking information to the public. Uh, what do y'all think about that?
Fucked up, dude.
Yeah,
And
that's
yeah, and they talk about it, and that's the key reason why they can't tell more people about One for All,
and Deku. Yeah,
because they're worried that it's going to get leaked to the media. And they did bring up the point too that they're surprised that All for One hasn't said anything about this yet. But in the end, I think that would make it harder for All for One. He's always been such a shadowy figure that I think that's not how he wants to go about it, man. That's not him,
Right. I'm gonna agree with that. I think if everybody knew, it also helps with coordination between all the heroes to protect Deku. And it just being undercover, a lot of the heroes not even knowing what the king on the board is, kind of helps his own plot. What was your thoughts on it, Tyler?
I kind of think it's messed up because these are the heroes that they know what's right and wrong, and they know that leaking information, like valuable information, to the public. They know that's wrong. So if you're gonna retire from being a hero or quit being a hero, um, that's you're basically just flip flopping. Like you're becoming a villain at that point to some extent. Uh, so why would you like just go that far instead of just retiring and just laying low or whatever? So I just
Right.
don't see the sense in it. But
And I
Yeah,
guess like kind of like to answer your question in a way, and kind of what I've thought over the last few episodes here is, I think that that air of being a hero and being above everything and being able to smile through the pain, I think a lot of heroes had that broken, and maybe now they're not on the same side as the heroes anymore. So they're resigning, and then they're going ratting, telling people.
it's crazy though.
the
It
snitches
is.
get stitches, man.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
they're gonna get
But
got.
on that front too, though, it could look like somebody who retires because of all the ridicule. It could look at to them that it's a means to an end of all of this, shit going on right now, and that if Deku was, or One for All was acquired by or All for One, it kind of ends this. But at the same time, you'd be going back to that post All Might, Japan run by crime organizations kind of vibe. So I don't know. It's a tough look at it, but
Very, very true. Very, very true. Um, I guess it was weird seeing Deku in this way during this episode, and I think the whole episode was kind of like highlight the burden on Deku. Um, we could see that he was beaten down. He was walking hunched over. I mean, he looked like a little freaking gremlin walking around in those battered clothes and his hunchback. Um, you know, do you think he could keep going like that? We kind of saw some people show up for him, but what do you guys think he should do to kind of like turn around the situation he's in? Not having a lot of energy, being beaten down, feeling alone. It seems like, and you can kind of tell it's weighing on his mind just by the way he's interacting with people, right?
yeah, definitely. I mean, you see the second user who doesn't have a name. I tried to find it. um, says that he's missing something, and it is that the second user and the third user were like best friends, and he doesn't have that person to lean on in this sense. He's shunning All Might because he doesn't want All Might to have to deal with this burden anymore because he's passed One for All on. But he needs somebody that he can rely on and lean on for support. And it's one of those things where you saw it goes into at the end of the episode, but he left behind all his friends because he wanted to protect them. And we'll get into it a little further, but I think the combination of that and Deku just basically being like terrifying the public because they see he has multiple quirks, which is, oh my God, do you work for All for One?
Yeah,
Multiple times. And I think it's all just wearing him down, man. He's like turning away food
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's really self-destructive, the path that he's on.
Definitely.
Yeah, and going back to like your question, is there do we think anything that is there anything that Deku could do? I don't think so. I don't think Deku can do anything to help himself because that's just who he is. Um, and like Dan said, he needs somebody, to that's what he needs. He just needs somebody. He needs somebody to lean on. So,
Definitely.
but
I guess before we get into that, one of the things is at the very beginning of the episode, Lady Nagant basically reveals that All for One was planning to. He had hired multiple people to collect targets, and we're not sure exactly what she meant by that. Are there other people that All for One wants? And the only thing I could think of is that I wasn't sure if he meant multiple targets or if he meant multiple people were going after Deku. Because we saw another hired gun essentially try and take down Deku in this episode. And
yeah,
he just puts him in a body bag, dude. Like absolutely just one taps him basically, puts him
Oh
right
yeah,
down.
complete win instantly, I think is what was used.
yeah,
Um, kind of how Lady Naga said it, it seemed to me like that there were multiple targets. I was thinking maybe they're doing some quirk collection. Um, don't know what quirks they would be going after, but it would have to be things, to aid Shigaraki in his battle. So it would, maybe like some regenerative things because his body wasn't in a good state. I'm not really sure, but I think there are multiple hired guns with multiple targets.
and
Yeah, and looking at it from that standpoint too, I was kind of surprised if you think about it like that. Like, why do you let Chisaki go with Lady Najant? Because frankly, his overhaul quirk is so broken.
yeah,
It really is. Yeah.
and
And
I don't I
go for it.
don't I don't really think that Um, I don't really think that I thought at first that there was like multiple targets, but I don't really think there's multiple targets now. I think that it's multiple hired guns going after Deku. As like Dan just said, they just passed up overhaul. So, and that's we
Right.
we all know he was broken. Like his power was broken. So
Okay.
Yeah. I guess the only potential kind of quirks that came to mind that we've seen so far would be Ares Rewind quirk, the
mhm.
ability to
Okay.
basically
Yes.
rewind, anything that's happened to a person. Shinzo's brainwashing quirk came to mind because that is so broken. And
Mhm.
then Eraserhead's quirk Erasure also came to mind. But then I thought about it, and All for One doesn't have eyes. So I don't know how we make eye contact with anyone, you know?
Well,
Yes.
unless
Yes.
he's trying to like take over what's his name's body,
Shigaraki,
yeah,
yeah.
Shigaraki, then he would have eyes. So
True.
yeah.
Yes. I mean, but if you got a hold of the rewind quirk, I mean, he could go back to Prime.
I never thought about Erie.
That's true.
That's a good point about Erie. So,
Yeah. And he pretty much has a minion in himself to go do what he wants to go do.
but I really think that they're just talking about Deku though. I honestly, so I guess we'll
Okay.
see though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely. So one of the major parts of this episode is Principal Nezu works with the Class 1A folks to basically trick wow, I'm spacing out right now.
We've all been there,
Shoto's
brother.
dad. Shoto's dad.
Endeavor.
Endeavor. There we go.
We
Trick
got
Endeavor.
you.
Trick Endeavor to come to the high school to basically get
Oh,
confronted by the students and figure out what's going on with Deku because they know something's going on. And one thing that Bakugo brought up that I thought was really interesting is that Deku and All Might being together is kind of destructive because they both have that same mentality. What do you guys think about that? Is that what your thoughts were on it? Or, because I always looked at All Might as more of the mentor role and supporting Deku. I didn't think he was going to put him in harm's way on purpose.
Right. And I don't even think it's All Might putting him in harm's way on purpose. So we kind of saw their relationship dynamic change throughout this show to where Deku would listen to anything that All Might said, he would just go do it, right? Bow to him, yes, sir, no, sir. Now he hardly looked back when he asked him for food and he said, I got to do this by myself. And I think the reason that it's so destructive, them two just being alone and only communicating, you know, All Might being the only person communicating to Deku is because All Might had the whole world's hopes on his back by himself, had the same quirk, and now Deku, if he comes and says, "Hey, Deku, you need some help," he's not going to listen to that. He's like, "Your whole thing it was all you."
Yeah.
That's
So
true. And yeah, I was gonna say Deku does mention that he can use All for One at 100 quote unquote percent with Fa Jin. So maybe that is kind of what his mindset is at that time,
yeah, it would
And
sound hypocritical.
and I also think that the whole reason why Deku's um relationship with All Might changed there at that point was back at the mansion. We seen All for One leave him that message, and I think he said you're next or something like that. And I think Deku is scared that All Might will get caught in the crossfire and not be able to protect himself. I think that Deku is trying to push All Might away, knowing that All Might don't want to be pushed away. He wants to try to help him. So
Definitely.
I think that's his way of doing it. Is trying to push him away by saying he don't need him no more. He don't need to follow him. So
Definitely. Yeah, and during that I guess interaction between All Might and Izuku, you kind of see something really interesting in the background. A return of a certain character potentially. Everybody's favorite hero killer vigilante,
mm.
Stain, sorry, looks like he was in the background. It's interesting if do you wonder if he's one of All for One's hired guns or if he has a different I guess reason to be there,
I mean, he could be one of the hired guns. I think he might be. Um, we seen him spying on All Might and them. Uh, y'all think he's gonna use All Might to get to Deku? Seeing
I
that
don't
their relationship between them is what it is.
So that's a really interesting thing though, because Stain acknowledges All Might as a true hero. If you go back to that
Okay.
arc, and during that fight with Deku, he also realized that Deku has the same heart as All Might and acknowledged him as a hero. So based on his mentality, I don't think he'd want to hunt down Midoriya, if that makes sense.
But you don't think he's changed while he was in prison?
The thing is, he doesn't have to change. He could be the same person because he already admired All Might for what he is. He wasn't fake. He was doing it for the right motivation.
Yeah.
And he thinks the same of Deku. So I actually don't see why he would attack them specifically. Dan
Well,
took the words right out of my mouth. I had the same thought about it. I was really thinking on it because I was very excited to see Stain again. Um,
Definitely.
gr- cool power, great design, I think, and he was a cool add to the show. But yeah, I don't unless All for One had something over him. He put one of those explosion quirks in him. I really don't see him being there with malicious intent.
I just don't know what he's there for though. If he's not there for All for One, but
He
I
might be
can.
trying to go double agent. I don't know. I'm not sure why he's there, but I just don't think he's there with a malicious intent.
Definitely.
I guess we'll
Yeah, and
see.
we will see. And the episode, I mean, we're gonna have to see, right? And
That's what we do
so
here.
the episode kind of finished off. We do a lot of seeing. The episode finished off with Deku coming up against yet another one of these hired guns, whose name is Dictator, and basically his quirk lets him take control of people. So this baddie is just throwing poor civilians at Deku to try and beat him. And this is where we kind of came to the climax of the episode where all of a sudden we see Bakugo just beat the hammer down on Dictator and free all these people. And it looks like we're going to get a little clash between Class 1A and Deku to try and bring him back to who he was. So I'm really excited to see that. Do you guys have any other thoughts on that besides let's wait and see?
uh, I mean, normally, I think Deku's got it. Especially with all his powers and stuff that he's learned to control. But right now, Deku's in a bad shape. Deku's in a horrible shape right now. So I don't think he would have it. But honestly, do we actually see Deku fighting his friends? I don't see that happening. I could see Bakugo, beating the shit out of him, but I don't really see Deku fighting his friends. So
I kind of agree with that. I thought it was really cool that they all came because I don't think that was necessary. Shoto, Bakugo, maybe a couple other people could have showed up and talked to him, because if he's at 100%, they can't overwhelm him. He's so far in front of them right now that it would be futile. But them showing up in solidarity and saying, "Hey, you're going about this the wrong way," I think this is going to turn him. I hope it doesn't come to blows, but if I had to put money on it with Deku's physical state, I got class 1A on this one.
I feel that.
Yeah, and like when Dictator attacked him, I mean, he was falling over before the fight even started, and I think that's pretty cool that they put the mask over his face, because we couldn't see his face, we couldn't see how he felt until one of the random puppets that the Dictator had
tore it off. Yeah,
tore it off, and I mean, and then you can see, oh, he's done. He's done. He's exhausted. His eyes are low, and he's like, "Wait, just give me a moment. I'm coming up with a plan."
Yeah,
did,
It
real
wasn't
space.
happening. He was going to
Yeah.
sleep.
And
so, I hope it
didn't
didn't come to blows, but he can't fight him anyway.
didn't Bakugo or somebody say something along the lines, you need a smile or something like that? Where's your smile at or something? Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Definitely. Yeah, basically called him a poser All Might at that point because he's
Yeah.
not fighting with a smile on his face.
Yeah. I think he needed that too. So
Definitely. Yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. Well, everyone, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. It's not every week we have 2 of our 3 shows, on hiatus, but I'm glad we got a 1-hour AOT episode to kind of fill in that gap. If you have any thoughts on it or opinions, make sure to join the Discord. We have a great discussion going in there weekly. To keep up with the Degens, follow us on all our socials by hitting the link tree in the bio. Thanks again, and make sure to stay degenerate.